Hi, good evening. I'm Abhilash, your UPSC Civil Services Examination Mentor. And today we are going to look for analysis of GS paper uh, 1. GS paper 1. So, I have this in front of me. This is the GS paper of today. Uh, so, I hope the it will be available for download. It is available over internet as well. What I have taken from internet. ये आज का पेपर है जीएस पेपर वन का. हम इस पेपर को एनालाइज करेंगे. Each question wise will analyze, and also I'll tell you how the GS paper one it has impacted the first few impression of GS paper one. Usually आप जब एग्जाम पेपर देखते हैं तो ट्रेंड वाइज इट हैज केप्ट 20 क्वेश्चंस. इट इज 250 मार्क्स और थ्री सेक्शंस वाज देयर, हिस्ट्री और कल्चर और ज्योग्राफी एंड इंडियन सोसाइटी. तो अगर हम देखें तो क्वेश्चन 1 and 10 जो है 10 मार्क्स के 150 वर्ड्स के पर 7 मिनट आई मीन बेसिकली इतने था. और क्वेश्चन 11 to 20 15 मार्क्स का 250 वर्ड्स के लिए. So most of the time, paper, the first impression that I got while running through the paper was it was not about memory or knowing static knowledge. It was understanding your concept, connecting the various dimensions, and present your style of writing, creating an argument, and or substantiate with example. When you create an argument, substantiate with example. The if I go by the division, that first like around what I found was geography question 4 to 7 and then question 14 to 17 had a little more weightage than the other two, history, culture, and post independence. It had and Indian society. So it was a kind of a very geography centric feeling type examination, mains examination. And this was ऐसा नहीं कि पहली बार ऐसा हुआ है. Even earlier on the basic subject, geography was given weightage, and now also this time also geography has been given. I would say rather it's a comeback of geography in the mains paper. So previously, I mean, when we go by the part of geography, here, uh, like it is like it was not just about maps or monsoon, the standard question one prepares. So there was something called as Fujiwara effect, then connecting tundra ecology to economics, then aeolian geomorphology, then South Asian water basins, then having the knowledge of local winds, Lu, Chinook, Phone, and then satellite agriculture, agritech, then India Pacific trades geography, and the land use change. So it was like previously, the questions जो आते थे geography में, the way it was defined or written was a definition हो कि distribution बताओ कि features बताओ very directly, and people used to draw diagrams around it, and as it is mentioned in the book geomorphology, or like that only question was straightly asked. Describe monsoon, describe Himalayan stages of growth and all that kind of thing. But here, this time, 2026, it was more of contemporary application, where you have to explain the contemporary application को बताने के लिए you need to know the concept, the mechanism, and consequence. Only then you will be able to substantiate with कि contemporary ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है. तो जिन्होंने ज्योग्राफी को सिर्फ नोट्स के थ्रू पढ़ा होगा, they would find it very difficult to write a original answer. If I go by the paper difficulty, I found that history or culture, the first part of the questions, were around 7 out of 10, I would say. Geography was toughest, 8 by 10 around that, because many a time, the what is Fujiwara cyclonic? We learn about cyclonic moment, but what is Fujiwara effect? That is, that corollary. Then the Aeolian geography. Now, people who have read through the old NCRT would understand the Gobi Rock and uh, geomorphology done through wind, Aeolian geomorphology. Then Chinook, Vaughan, distinction between these two winds, and then you awareness of a satellite tech, trade geography, or something very different this time. When the geography is lost. Society was considered as like easy to attempt. You always have a word to complete it, and basically, uh, I think everybody can complete it. And I would say it is a little moderate to moderate difficult kind of a paper, because if you really didn't know anything to answer, तो फिर आप लिखोगे क्या? What will you fill in the paper? So that is one way of looking at it. When it comes to answer writing, all the students who have been in my answer writing session would have understood how we decode. But all the students who are listening to me now, जब आप आंसर राइटिंग देखते हैं, when especially in the exam scenario, 10 markers questions demand your 7 minutes, and 12 markers 15 markers question demand your 11 minutes. So we have to design our questions, answer writing, once you understand or decode क्या question का demand है within that particular time. Okay, so it is not going to come as a mentally सोच के नहीं आता, it is उसको लिखना पड़ता है. And every time I keep on saying that, until unless you don't write, you will not understand कि कहाँ मेरे से मिस्टेक हो गया. द टाइमिंग इज समथिंग, इट क्रिएट्स प्रेशर. पढ़ाई लिखाई सब करते हैं, एवरीबडी वुड हैव प्रिपेयर्ड, एवरीबडी वुड हैव प्रिपेयर्ड ब्यूटीफुल नोट्स, बट राइटिंग दोस 20 क्वेश्चंस इन टाइम बाउंड, in completing the question paper, especially जब you have to fill the answer book, already you don't take sheets, no, it is already there, you have to write in the space. That is where the challenge comes. That practice lack, जिन्होंने भी वो किया होगा, लैक किया होगा प्रैक्टिस, दे वुड सी दैट कि आंसर वो कंप्लीट नहीं कर पाएंगे. So this is one challenge. So what I consider that when we psychologically, I tell that, first 30 second always try to decode and understand the demand of the question. Then from 30 second to 1 minute, in the next 30 second, you try to see that you have a introductory line in your brain, and then from 1 minute to 5.5 minute, you are able to write about points. Uh, जो भी आपने narration देना है उसके around. And then if there is in the last 30 second, you have any diagram, 30 to 45 second, if any diagram, if any flow chart, whichever you are conveying maximum information, you add in over there, and then one line of conclusion. Then only move to next question. So 7 minutes ऐसे distribute करना है. If you do not do IBC, that is intro, body, conclusion, some or other way, your organizational thinking, जो आप इस तरीके से सोचते हैं, वो आप कैसे दिखाएंगे उनको. Similarly, when it comes to uh, 10, मतलब 15 marks question, we take around 11 minutes. And in that 11 minutes, there is a time distribution that, for introduction around 25 to 30 words, and you put the, whatever is the question posing you, उसके हिसाब से आपने introduction दिया. Then you see what is the primary demand of the question. You address it immediately in first paragraph one, and second, whatever is the next demand, body two, and then create an argument or critical dimension, and finally conclude with your answer. So this is where your this thing goes. So if we summarize, I mean, if I just highlight on what is the paper of today, अगर आपने देखा होगा, if you have in your hand, fantastic. But what I've done is I've also tried to put it in a slide deck. Okay, summary of the questions. Okay, not the full question statement. So uh, पहला क्वेश्चन अशोकन इंस्क्रिप्शन पे है. second on Macular's minute, third on Gandhian movement, fourth, Chikora effect, fifth, uh, tundra ecosystem पे, sixth question, alien processes, seventh question, South Asian water पे, society का question 8, unity versus communalism, society के अंदर disability and policy question 9, and digital empowerment question 10. कुछ questions आप question paper में मैंने डाला है. Uh, Analyze the importance of Ashokan inscriptions for reconstructing Mauryan history. So the first keyword is like the demand is saying analyze. Analyze is we have to analyze, and what we have to analyze that importance of Ashokan inscriptions. जब हम मौर्यन हिस्ट्री को देखते हैं उसमें अशोकन इंस्क्रिप्शन का क्या इम्पोर्टेंस. मौर्यन हिस्ट्री इज नॉट जस्ट अबाउट अशोका. It has multiple dynasty ruling at it. But here the question is asking that from the perspective of Ashokan inscription, how do you reconstruct the Mauryan history? तो इसमें आपको अगर आपको एंशियंट हिस्ट्री में यू रिमेंबर दैट हाउ what are the Ashokan inscription and where were they present across the country. If you remember, there was an NCRT में एक map है where they tell you what the length and breadth of Ashokan dynasty and Ashokan ruling. Meaning that how the inscription of pillars were mentioned to pass on the messages to the people. And so from Afghanistan to from south in South Karnataka and then in East Odisha, and administration had Rajukas, Pradesikas, Mahamantras, and Dhamma and nature of kinship. What was mentioned to do the governance, you know, and if you can give a reference of Kalinga war, but it was a one phase of Ashokan this thing. It was not the only phase, but there's a whole lot of activity before the Kalinga war and after the Kalinga war. Okay. Then the social religious tolerance, public welfare mechanism, and how the communication was passed on to the people of that demography or that geography, and external contacts specifically in the Greco-Roman area where the Hellenistic rulers came. When we say Hellenistic rulers, means it is from the Greco-Roman areas, and in fact, during that time, the you know the Bamiyan caves, remember in Afghanistan, that is a Hellenistic architecture where Greek architecture and Indian architecture mixed, and you could see Buddha having long ears, having spiral on his head as a hair bun, and those were the features of Greek features which were depicted in Buddha. And if you remember the in that the giant uh, architecture which now no more exists, obviously, the Mamian caves, which was in Afghanistan. So that showed the part of interaction of the Ashokan dynasty with the Hellenistic or Greek uh, civilization, Roman Greek civilization, Greco-Roman civilization during that time. फिर उसका जो स्क्रिप्ट थी उस टाइम पे ब्राह्मी खरोष्टी और ग्रीक and Arabic. तो वो these are the certain keywords and certain areas of which you can put in your answer, which will increase the quality of answer. Or obviously, I mentioned this has to be all done in the 7 minutes. Next question, which I basically asked is discuss the impact of Macular's minute on colonial administration and education in India. So I'm sure ये modern history का part है in maculae when it comes to macula, and you have to talk about here it is saying discuss the impact. Okay, the impact can always be positive and negative. So if you are writing question answer पूरे यहाँ पर आपको pros and cons both side में impact weightage दिखाते हुए बोलते हैं. So, and then you have to see that uh, maculae में they only talk about mostly ना that कि English as an education was increased. But अगर आप देखोगे just school education, education administration, how that has to be done. That also he created administrative system of education, and that is where we see that हम लोग जो transition करते हैं schooling से then we go for higher education. Then actually you see it as schooling, then secondary, then higher secondary, then you go for pre-university, फिर university. This was the system created. अभी हम क्लास 1 2 3 4 की बातें करते हैं तो उस टाइम ऐसे क्लास 1 2 3 नहीं थे. तो दैट इज द रीजन दैट एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव पार्ट ऑफ इट. और आज जैसे आप लोग लकी हो कि आप एक ही बारी में पूरा स्कूलिंग कर लेते हो. आप बैठे प्राइमरी से क्लास में एंट्री किया और सीधा जाके क्लास 12th में आप निकलते हो. बट ये सच्चाई नहीं थी उस टाइम पे. इन द नेक्स्ट टाइम दिस वाज नॉट पॉसिबल. पीपल यूज्ड टू डू 2 2 years 3 years. जब जब स्कूलिंग पॉसिबल होता था दे यूज्ड टू डू स्कूलिंग and then they used to move ahead as per their marks and to be registered system था clearing certificate. So that what it was designed to give, it was designed to give that. पहली बात तो मैन पावर इंग्लिश राइटिंग मैन पावर क्योंकि हम बोलते हैं क्लर्क्स क्लरिकल मैन पावर colonial system. Then rather than getting people from UK and paying them here, we could find that at low cost. Then creating a standardized bureaucratic communication in the entire British India part. Okay, not just presidencies, but पूरे British India में. उस टाइम में भी even आप देखोगे in British India was also managed in three presidencies: Bombay presidency, Calcutta presidency, and Madras presidency. Three of them had Supreme Courts. Okay, High Court is also Supreme Court is another. So that means they were running on their own system as a government, and while under the viceroy. That was the system. But with Macaulay coming into picture, it could standardize the way administrative systems were run across the presidency. So another thing was introduction of English, introduction of Western books, Western literature, opening up of libraries, and then adoption of English by the middle class. फिर उसके साथ धीरे-धीरे was decline of pathshalas and madrasas, and slowly exclusivity also came to the picture. This has been the impact of education. So we have to speak about this element and how this element also impacted in coming together of revolutionaries or people knowing about the country, about India. But Indian people knowing about India. वो भी एक चीज इसमें impact. So if you can put it all अगर आपके mind में आता है why not? Definitely. The next question uh, about the significance of Gandhian movements lay in the masses they mobilized. Elucidate. The key word over here is elucidate. So here basically है कि elucidate मतलब explain with illustration. So how question is कि how Gandhi's inclusion in the independence movement uh, added mass movement. कितना क्या significant है. Basically गांधी किसके लिए बोले. All of you know that before Gandhi, the zamindars and the highly educated people, society of barristers who were there, were part of the Congress, and they had one meeting happening in every December 23-25 के आसपास पे every year कांग्रेस सभा जाता था. But it was not a mass movement. There was a access fee. उस क्लब का पार्ट होने के लिए to be part of Congress, you had to give an access fee. When Gandhiji came into the picture and when he, after Krishna Gokhale kind of addressed him कि आप पहले country को understand about the country, तो उन्होंने पूरे देश की यात्रा की in train. Okay. And while he did that, he also participated in various small satyagrahas and across the country. That you know the sequence that 1919 he was a part of moving around and very in Champaran and in Bardoli Satyagraha. The people who are not aware of about it, आप जब पढ़ोगे तो आप समझ पाओगे सीक्वेंस में चीजें चल रही है like that. While doing so, he realized that India lives in villages. Even हम आज भी बोलते हैं कि India lives in villages. So when India lives in villages, they are not the part of the revolution. How for whom are you building revolution? In that system, that Congress participation to be a part of the Congress, the membership fee should be reduced, and he reduced the membership to 1 rupees, ₹1. जब ₹1 हो गया कांग्रेस का subscription, Congress membership fee, then the participation of entire farm and middle class, lower middle class from rural area happened. That is the first time they Congress became a mass form. अब अब कांग्रेस के सब कांग्रेस के पार्ट होने लगे and they felt that if Congress is fighting for the country, उनका भी कर्तव्य बनता है to come out on the road and fight for. Okay, it is very difficult to bring people. आज के डेट में आपके पास कम्युनिकेशन डिवाइस है, सोशल मीडिया है, यू नो आप आपको इन्फॉर्मेशन 2 मिनट में जाता है. आप अगर बोला जाएगा इमरजेंसी कम आउट ऑफ योर हाउसेस, विल कम आउट ऑफ योर हाउसेस. ये जो भी चीजें बिकॉज आपको कम्युनिकेशन ड्रिवन हो गया इमीडिएटली. तो उन दिनों में दैट टाइम इट वाज वेरी डिफिकल्ट. न्यूज़पेपर इसलिए बहुत सारे नेशनल रीडर्स का न्यूज़पेपर भी चलाते थे. न्यूज़पेपर में वो मैसेज लिखते थे कि हम फलाना के दिन फलाना दिन करेंगे, ऐसे होगा, आप अपने नियरेस्ट इससे जोड़ के रहिए. रेडियो वेडियो भी नहीं था. तो आप मतलब इमेजिन करो सिर्फ न्यूज़पेपर और वर्ड ऑफ माउथ से बात कर. In that, if mass movement has happened, people have come out of their homes and participated in any of the revolution. That shows the impact of Gandhi. यहाँ पे ये सारी चीजें अगर आपका थोड़ी सी नॉलेज है तो आप अगर लिखोगे तो immediately the answer checker get impressed that he is able to get the perspective of Gandhian movement. Now, obviously, you would be thinking कि क्वेश्चन देखने से तो कोई भी ऐसे सब बातें कर सकता है. बट ऐसी बात नहीं है. when you learn, when you prepare in your examination, जब आपका वो फेस चलता है वहां पे you should be able to identify what difference that particular why UPSC is telling you क्या difference है. The next question was about what is Fujiwara effect, explain its impact on the movement and intensity of tropical cyclone. Now, people who have studied NCRT, 11th class, 11th class NCRT, tropical and temperate cycling को अच्छी तरह से explain किया हुआ है 11th class geography में. There, uh, but it is very simple. You might be knowing tropical cyclone, but you might find difficult that what is this Fujiwara effect. So to understand Fujiwara effect, you have to first understand climatology and tropical cyclone and how this cyclonic vortex are created. तो बट जब दो vortex एक किसी सेंटर के अराउंड घूमते हैं तो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज फुजीवारा इफेक्ट. दो घूमता हुआ चक्रवात अगर किसी सेंटर ऑफ एक्सिस के अराउंड घूमते हैं तो वो कहते हैं फुजीवारा इफेक्ट बिकॉज इट वाज observed in Fujiwara uh, in, in Japan. So that's the reason the name came like that. It is not otherwise usually cyclone has only single vortex. यहाँ पे दो vortex घूमते हैं in around a axis. So that is the reason why. It is a मैंने uh, मतलब in the later stage of the cyclone, it ऐसा होता है जो जो साइक जो वोर्टेक्स बड़ा होता है वो छोटे को खा जाता है और they come together and absorb one another. But there is a phase where both the vortex they may have different origin at different part location of the ocean, but they come together to run around an axis that is. I'm obviously मैं यहाँ पे लिख नहीं रहा हूँ, मैं आपको पढ़ा भी नहीं रहा हूँ, अगर I'm teaching you, I'm not able to give my time कैसे फॉर्म होता है, क्या डालना है, मैं इतना ही बोल रहा हूँ जितना इसका आंसर का डिमांड है, आपको हमें देखना चाहिए. And if you have an idea of vortex and you can draw the diagram of that and that will impact. Next question is tundra regions are ecologically fragile but economically important. Examine this statement critically. Again, this is part of geography. आपको पता होना चाहिए where is tundra region. You can put a globe and create the region which is considered as tundra region specifically that Alaska, Russia, and Maldives region, and how it is important for minerals, how what is trapped inside it in ice age, and all that. You can put a small या pointer के तरीके से आप बोलो या जिस तरीके से बोलो, and then you will say the global warming and जो भी इन सारे elements के बारे में आप जानते हैं, that is where the question is directing that how important it is that now it is losing ice cover. तो क्या क्या challenges आ रहे हैं biodiversity के issues में आ रहे हैं, and food chain disruption हो रहा है, release of methane हो रहा है, absence of permafrost region हो रहा है, and economically how it is important that it taps a lot of oil and natural gases, that it is part of the fisheries and shipping route. तो ये सारी चीज़ों का मैंने रेलेवेंस के साथ यू कैन मेंशन अबाउट इट एंड sustainable future के around you can talk and then close conclude the answer. The next question which came, uh, discuss the role of aeolian processes in desertification and land degradation. This question अगर आप देखो, if you read this question, uh, जो aeolian geomorphology, uh, जो geography book, गोचेन लियोन अगर आप ने कभी पढ़ा होगा, गोचेन लियोन इज आई थिंक वो आईसीएसई का बुक है. तो गोचेन लियोन एक क्लास 10th सर्टिफिकेट फिजिकल एंड ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी, ओके मैं बोर्ड तो नहीं मुझे पता, बट ये किताब ये जो बुक है, ये this book had a very good concept. It is a very older book, but this book had the real concept of introduction of geomorphology, climatology, and human geography, physical geography and human geography. And तो एओलियन ज्योग्राफी जो अभी आज का क्वेश्चन आया है, ये मतलब आप देखोगे डायरेक्ट उसमें वो क्वेश्चन ऐसा ही यही क्वेश्चन लिखा है वहाँ इस किताब में, सी दैट क्वेश्चन. तो हियर आपको यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड द पार्ट ऑफ एज अ ज्योग्राफी का थोड़ी सी कोर नॉलेज होना चाहिए. व्हाट इज डिफरेंस सेपरेशन, व्हाट इज सल्टेशन, सस्पेंशन, सारी चीजें, terminology. If you can understand this, then you'll be able to know that what is the desert rock, how it is formed, why, how this landform is formed, and then formation and of various uh, लैंडफॉर्म स्पेसिफिकली एओलियन मतलब जहाँ हवा बहुत ज़्यादा होती है, तो ये सब ड्राई एरिया में डस्ट स्टॉर्म से बने बने हनी डेजर्ट डेजर्ट एरिया ऑफ डेजर्ट, वहाँ पे बहुत सारे ऐसे लैंड के फॉर्मेशन जो है, दे हवा के हवा मतलब इरोजन एंड डिपोजिशन जैसे आप क्रिएटेड चीजें आपको मिलती है मैंने एओलियन प्रोसेस, तो दैट यू कैन मेंशन। नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन जो पूछा गया था, water resources are both an asset and source of conflict in South Asia. Examine this statement giving example. So, water resources are both an asset and a source of conflict in South Asia. Examine this statement giving example. तो बिफोर यू नीड टू नो दी, यहाँ पे थोड़ी जिनको मैप बनाना आता है, they will have a good advantage to showcase that basically which area of the geography or which area of the world I'm speaking. You know, what are the oceans around, what are the various water bodies around it. And then if you may start talking about the particular uh, uh, conflict and scenario, that then you'll be able to understand. So here you will see that in South Asia, what are the assets of water? You will realize they are used in for irrigation, food production, hydropower, drinking water, fisheries, then navigation. Then the challenge is that they are not at one level. Okay, upstream and downstream जाना बड़ा challenging है. And again climate change and seasonal variability. उसी water में floods भी आते हैं during the rainy or monsoon season, and उसी water में droughts भी आते हैं in the other season. And basically this region is like Indus water, Tista in Indo-Bangladesh, Brahmaputra, and other Himalayan rivers. ये सारा जो zone है South Asia का, it is the impact or it is the region of where water resource act as an asset also for conflict भी create करके रखा हुआ है. Now coming to the next question, I am sure see मैं तो read कर रहा हूँ question because I have the question paper with me, but I am assuming that you have the question paper with you. आप please question paper को भी डाउनलोड करनी है, तो ऐसे खाली मेरा आवाज सुनना भी बड़ा बोरिंग है, मुझे खुद ही बड़ा ये होता है. आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग दैट यू सी द क्वेश्चन. Unity in diversity remains the defining feature of Indian society despite the challenges from communalism and comment. Okay, again 10 words का है and the straightforward है question बिल्कुल. There is nothing surprise in it. Any aspirant who's been preparing about this without knowing about India's unity in diversity, understanding communalism and regionalism, तो obviously प्रिपरेशन तो पूरी नहीं हुई होगी. अगर आप ये बातें समझते नहीं है, टर्मिनोलॉजी समझते नहीं है, then you're not prepared. You need to prepare it very well. And then you got to talk about how your constitution, how your, what part of India's feature as constitution represent on strengthen. यूनिटी है, आप देखोगे कि सिटीजनशिप या कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली प्रोवाइडेड है विथ राइट्स एंड ड्यूटीज के साथ. एंड इवन द स्ट्रक्चर इज फेडरलिज्म between center and state, multiple states. Then the democratic participation, एक adult suffrage बोल के बताया गया क्लॉज, एंड कि आप 18 ईयर्स तक वो कैसे पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं नेशन में गवर्नेंस इलेक्शन करके भी वो एक पार्ट है. And then various institutes like National Institute of Judiciary, Army, Civil Services, who are part of the and various cultural exchange between the regional geography and things like that. तो ये बताता है हमारा unity in diversity. Then what are the challenges? Obviously, communal radicalization and identity politics. Okay. then regional inequality and son of soil government, and misinformation and political polarization. तो ये एक चैलेंज है कि जो इतने सारे प्रांत के अलग अलग इसके लोग रहते हैं, तो यू आई एम श्योर ऑल ऑफ यू आर अवेयर दैट कहाँ बॉम्बे में चैलेंज है, कर्नाटका में चैलेंज है, तमिलनाडु में भी चैलेंज है। यहाँ के लोग कहाँ आते हैं तो क्वेश्चन करते हैं कि ऐसे यहाँ में आके वापस जाओ एंड ऑल दैट। बट आवर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन प्रोवाइड्स दिस फ्रीडम ऑफ मूवमेंट फ्रॉम एंटायर इंडिया में आप कहीं पे भी जा सकते हो, अपना लाइवलीहुड ढूंढ सकते हो। तो those are certain part where uh, when you represent answers around it, you can also highlight those. एक स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड क्वेश्चन आया था, हाउ डू यू अंडरस्टैंड डिसेबिलिटी substantiate the need for inclusive policy framework in India in this regard. Now, question वही question एक पिछले साल भी around similar question had come, and so I'm sure people who are prepared from last year paper preparation would have been able to write this question with lot of references of you know understanding the disability and how government has defined and what part and how it is included in various aspects of government of India implementation. जहाँ पे ऐसा लगता है कि inclusive, we also include them as a part of governance, as a part of democracy, as a part of whatever. But they are also part of this country and citizen. तो वो चीज़ हम देते हैं, करते हैं, सुधारते हैं। So that is what you have to mention in this question. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन जो आता है, डू यू थिंक डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी प्रमोट सोशल एम्पावरमेंट? एक्सप्लेन विथ। सो अब इसमें मैं क्या बताऊं, ऐसे कुछ अलग से तो मतलब यू गाइस आर मतलब आज यू गाइस आर मोर बेटर अवेयर ऑफ व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन दिस कंट्री व्हेन इट कम्स टू सोशल मीडिया। जो सोशल मीडिया का जो इम्पैक्ट है उसमें आप अगर आप देखोगे, you will you will have much more knowledge than what I'm going to talk about. तो यहाँ पे हम देखते हैं डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी में, तो फिर फिनेंशियल एम्पावरमेंट कैसे किया है, तो द ट्रिनिटी ऑफ डिमिट्री जैम mentioned about that, and then use of online education, telemedicine, e-governance as a part of governance delivery is also something which we can highlight. And again, further उसका impact है that it might create more digital divide, it might create more gender gap, or rural challenges, और धीरे धीरे with a lot of increase of cyber user, cyber fraud, and uh, digital exploitation will start. People might uh, start misutilizing it. And then always with digital world is a challenge of privacy concern कि आपका जो डिटेल्स है, आपके जो बहुत सारे मैंने अकाउंट्स एंड ये सब का डिटेल है, वो अभी पब्लिक प्लेटफॉर्म में डिजिटली कहीं ना कहीं रहता है। So with this, the first 10 questions are over. The next 11th question was about Vijayanagara architecture. 12th question is about linguistic reorganization of Indian states. 13th question is the model of planned economy. And 14th question was comparing the load Chinook foreign winds, local wind का knowledge होना बहुत जरूरी। 15th question is analyze the role of satellite space technologies. 16th question, the center of global trade is gradually shifting from Atlantic region to the Indo-Pacific region. Okay, now this people will talk and 10 minutes later. 17th question was analyze the major driver of human-induced land use changes in India and their geographical consequences. 18th is it's asked appearing in urban in the India. Illustrate your India example, answer with example. Then 19th question is critically examine the challenge of demographic transition in contemporary India. It's a very good question. Uh, सामाजिक And 20th question is evaluate the impact of globalization on Indian youth with reference to social, political, economic, and cultural. This is also a very standard question. तो ये जो ये 20 questions I read through. तो मुझे तो लगता है कि what happens is मैं भी जल्दी जल्दी ही कर लेता हूँ. तो विजयनगरा का जो डिमांड है बेसिकली, तो यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड द Dravidian temple, the Gopura Mandapas, and complexes of this construction. And you can see that in modern times, the center of economy or a city or town was the temple, and no, in the ancient times, sorry, modern time when I use it. And that is where the around that your education, your economic activities are centered, and that was shown in these kind of temples. And uh, you have to mention few temples there, and archaeology survey of India kind of manages it, and it shows that the impact of the mentioned that to improvement has happened in Jay architecture. Next question is about linguistic reorganization. And here we आपको याद होगा, it was the first moment, and we have uh, the flag Potti Sri Ramalu was the anchor, and although उस टाइम पे तेलंगाना बना नहीं था, but it was the first moment that started demand of Maharashtra Gujarat in 1960. Like, various other regional movements, state reorganization का होना, linguistic order, language as the boundary of the state was happening in the 1950 onwards. In fact, first election के बाद ही सबसे पहला मुद्दा language wise state का बना. So I'm not answering, हम लोग आंसर नहीं किया है, but I'm trying to help you out with few ideas to think. Hmm. Again, standard question है planned economic law चुनो, and 4 minutes का ज्योग्राफी भी अगर आपको पता है तो डेफिनेटली आप के बारे में और कोइन के बारे में आप कहाँ पर चलता है किधर बनता है उस हिसाब से आप डिफरेंसेस फाइंड कर सकते हैं. And जो जियोपॉलिटिकल जो भुवन और इसरो का जो नया इनिशिएटिव था फार्मर्स के लिए, वो स्मार्ट टेक्नोलॉजी फॉर क्लाइमेट स्मार्ट एग्रीकल्चर, अगर आपने मेथड मेंशन कर दिया अभी आपको बहुत इम्पैक्ट. ट्रेड ऑफ अटलांटिक टू वो जो चेंज हुआ था फ्रॉम दैट यूरोप के बिटवीन द यूरोप एंड यूएसए से न्यू मार्केट फाइंडिंग इन दीज एरिया ऑफ ग्लोबल ट्रेड, इसके बारे में थोड़ी सी बात कर सकते हैं. यू नो दैट यूरोपियन यूनियन का बनना, ट्रेड पार्टनर का बनना rather than single countries, and then have a few services of यूएस एंड ईयू. इन सब चीज़ों को अगर हम थोड़ी बहुत डिस्कस कर सकते हैं, दैट विल इंक्रीज और दैट विल इम्पैक्ट ऑन दी the trade in the Indo-Pacific uh, region. In fact, one of the best way to speak about is uh, mm, yeah, I think we are done with today's session अगर हम बोलेंगे और GS paper 1. Well, all the other questions I answer to them discussed before, so almost you would have already mentioned. अंडरस्टूड कि सिंगल सिंगल लाइन है पर्टिकुलर टू दैट पर्टिकुलर आंसर इक्वल। और अगर आप प्रिपेयर करते हैं तो यू विल डेफिनेटली रिमेम्बर आपने क्या क्या चीजें किसके बारे में पढ़ा। These are some standard question and I could say that अभी जो इस क्वेश्चन का जो if I can conclude हमेशा करंट अफेयर के थ्रू जो पूछा जाता था कि ऐसा नहीं होता इट वाज स्ट्रिक्ट टू द कॉन्सेप्ट एंड सेकंड इज यहाँ पे always the linkage is concept that is what UPSC always tries to figure out and then comes यूपीएससी का जो पैटर्न मैंने देखा कि इस बार थोड़ी ज्योग्राफी पे स्ट्राइक था। हिस्ट्री का आपको अवेयरनेस होना चाहिए तो माइन्यूट अवेयरनेस की तरफ भी थोड़ी सी होता है एंड देन if you are able to understand and decode the question well, then you are in half the paper is won. That is where I think your practice should be more and much there. कि आप क्वेश्चन को framework उसको कैसे आप अच्छी तरीके से कन्वे कर सकते हैं। तो अगर इस पूरे पेपर को ऐसे कंक्लूजन के नाम पे बोला जाए क्या मैंने ऐसे ऑब्जर्व किया which you feel that even when you do it you will also start feeling it that people who have uh, so decoding the directive ये सबसे critical skill है in this answer writing if you are able to decode और understand क्या question पूछ रहा है half the money half the world is one for you and that was very essential for it because मुझे ऐसा कोई generic question नहीं दिखा but all which needs preparation and moving on to discussion. So there are a list of this Brahman word and things like that. I'll be sharing with this also. You can also keep it as a record for yourself. So with that, I conclude by today's analysis for paper one, and shortly we'll see for paper two.